Let's talk Kashmir beyond encounters, gun battles, violence, and a conflict. It's about heritage. A museum which has been actually set up by a woman from Sopore, an educationist in her lifetime. Today it was formally inaugurated with a brand new building, and there are more than 7,000 artifacts in this museum, which is the largest private museum in Jammu and Kashmir. There's one tourist who came to Kashmir and fell in love with this place and contributed a great deal to make this museum a reality. Jaspreet Kaur from Delhi. Madam, you came to Kashmir in 2017,
Yes.
is that correct? So how it happened you ended up being the someone who has built the museum?
Well, that's a long story. My background, of course, is in architecture and urban design. So, the city of Srinagar was very fascinating. The history, the heritage, and beyond architecture, the craft, which is worldwide known, but I had to discover it for myself. So, it was in the lanes of the city that I discovered it.
Okay.
And of course, I met Beg Saab, he being connected with INTAC and the heritage conservation. And well, sadly, my father passed away about 2.5 years ago. This was during the COVID time. And he has started this foundation, which was essentially helping with education and some amount of cultural activities.
Okay.
And so after he passed away, I started looking after the foundation, and I was very keen that I take up a project which befits his memory, as well as it should be something that is to do with culture and heritage. So while discussing with Mr. Beg, then he mentioned that there was a mention about Atika ji. I hadn't heard about her, and the kind of collections and the enormous work that it's a lifetime work, which unfortunately didn't see the place that it should have during her lifetime. So I thought, these two ideas connect very well, and I should take this up, and I'm glad I did, because it's shaped up very well.
So it is you came to Kashmir as a tourist. You want to
did.
explore its rich traditions and end up actually
Housing the traditions.
I was thinking we just heard you when you were speaking at the inaugural function. So how this museum can be taken forward, so it actually becomes the attraction and the place for every youngster to come here, so that he would know their past. This is our past which defines our present,
Right.
and who we are.
Well, this is a story of, I think, every city in the subcontinent, that we are losing because of the rapid urbanization, the rapid expansion that is happening. We are losing touch with our base. And you see this change in the city fabrics, you see the change in the architecture. And with all that, with the internet coming in, there's a loss of heritage. And Sopore is, in fact, I would say, very lucky that there was a person here who made all the effort to collect this.
And a woman.
Yeah, absolutely.
And in most difficult times she did it. She collected all these artifacts. Salim sir, what is the significance of this museum, that too coming up in a place called Sopore, which was once hotbed of militancy? Now we talk about museum, artifacts, heritage.
Well, this museum predates militancy, so it has always been there, and has been conceived to be a place, this house, where this museum will be set up. Museum is a banner, essentially. It means many things. This is museum of a different kind. Okay. Essentially, like, for want of any further definition, we call it an ethnographic museum.
Okay.
Essentially, what this museum is having as a collection is something which is pertaining to the rural life in Kashmir, more so in northern part of Kashmir. Sopore has been a center of North Kashmir in terms of education, in terms of crafts. In fact, this was a center in early 20th century where woolen textiles were manufactured in a big way. In fact, Patu of Sopore was quite famous In fact, not many people in Sopore even know. They get surprised when we tell them this. It has also been a trade center for whole of North Kashmir, and subsequently it came up as a big fruit producing area, and that's what perhaps gave flip to the economy of the state as such. So ethnography essentially pertains to how people have been living, lifestyles, living traditions in rural areas.
So we saw so many things, artifacts. There are 7,000 as we know. We can't name each one of them, but what is so significant here, where people, new generation can come, because it defines our history, and history is what has made the world that is today.
Well, as they say, this is a common definition about heritage. What does heritage do? Heritage tells you how you have reached where you are today. So, the journey which you have completed in your environment as a society, as a village, as a town, as a state, or as a civilization, as they call it. There is textuality about it. We have been writing about it 100 years back, this was happening, that was happening, or in rural areas where sources of economy or sources of income were depleting due to various natural factors. How people used to live, how people used to face the challenge of weather, how people used to do agriculture, how people used to do minor industries. Okay. So this museum has the material evidence for all that has been happening in rural areas of Kashmir for more than 100 years. 100 years, I mean preceding 100 years, what all was happening. If you have seen the panels here, we have divided the panels in the seasons of Kashmir. The uniqueness about Kashmir as a geographic entity is that it lives in compartments of seasons. There is no great linkage between, say, winter and summer. Each season per se defines how you would negotiate with the climate, one, how you would do the minor produce, how you would do the agriculture. And along with that, rituals, celebrations is a part of the human society.
Exactly.
How you would address that.
Exactly.
And material evidence for all that is available here. What's not sufficiently so far done, though we have attempted to do, is how do you interpret it? How do you link it for a person who has no idea about these things? This is a medium by which you can educate, you can inform, you can also give a sense of identity to people.
Museums, actually, wherever they are, these artifacts tell our life of those who have come before us.
True.
So, but what I saw inside, we see in this museum, whether it is utensils, whether these are clothes, whether they are whatever, it is like an alien to us in today's generation. We don't live like that. But it is the reality. We have been like that. We have been using all these things. This is what would define us.
That's true. As I was saying, the artifacts here belong to a bygone era. Let's accept that. These are, as you rightly said, no longer living. But somehow, somewhere, there's a continuity in all that is happening.
Correct.
What should happen? We are living in a time and in an age where things will happen, new things will come up.
Correct.
All we should be doing in articulating, designing, bringing in new influences is that they have to be in sympathy with your past. That's the only demand.
Correct.
Heritage doesn't expect you to wear the jewelry of the kind which is here, but it does certainly expect you have to sympathy with it. And what's that sympathy? The sympathy is the motive, the usage. Let me tell you, even in the present kind of a situation where we think the world has gone ahead or our society has advanced a lot, there's a definite link with what you saw inside. That you have not implanted, you have not brought these influences now. You are not cut off. So you are belonging to a tradition which goes back to years or centuries.
You're correct. We need to actually know the foundation of a place we live
Exactly.
in. We need to, and this is that place where we know our foundation, how this place has been built, what was our lifestyle, and how we have actually evolved. And all the tourists, anybody who wants to know the past of the Kashmir and how this society has actually evolved, how we have been living, it's not the Dal Lake. Go there, yes, of course, that is a beautiful thing to go for a Shikara Not any other place, but this museum having 7,000 artifacts telling the rural life of Kashmir, how we have been living in most difficult times and how we have evolved. Thank you so much for watching.